Hello, everyone. This is Lauren Israelson, president of UNPA. Delighted to welcome you back to our UNPA YouTube channel. And I have the pleasure today of interviewing Lisa Sabin, vice president for business development at consumerlab.com. I've known Lisa for many years, and she's a veteran of the industry, has tremendous insights on the consumer marketplace because of her long tenure at Consumer Lab. And I'm looking forward to exploring the background, the history of Consumer Lab, the work that has been done. And I must say, I'll start by saying is in the last issue, I learned that there was cadmium in flaxseed products. That was bad news for me because I like flax seeds. I had to go throw mine away. But that speaks to why I read Consumer Lab is I learned things of that sort, the good news, the bad news. And I think you have an upcoming issue on virgin olive oil, and I can't wait for that one. So Lisa, welcome.
Well, thank you, Lauren. Thank you for having me. And it is a pleasure to speak with you. The virgin olive oil, yes, we actually had a product review up a while ago, and we got so much input on it that we are testing some additional products. So for those of you like yourself who are either paid members or just have signed up for our newsletter, you'll get a notice as to when that information is up. And I believe we're also going to be testing some additional flaxseed products.
Okay.
That was a huge category. As a product review, it was a huge hit with consumers. And so we had only tested, I think it was one product in the golden, and it didn't pass. So we're going to be, checking out a few more of the flaxseed products. But we'd love to hear that you're looking to our results to determine whether or not the product you have is good or not.
Well, I think it's the one thing that health consumers are most interested in is reliable results, information to help make buying decisions. And I certainly fit in that category, as millions do. And you have a very large readership, and you've been around since 1999. You're approaching your 25th anniversary. That's a big deal. And you've tested thousands of products. So at this point, I would love to get some insights on a couple of things. What, in a general sense, since you joined to today, how do you see the evolution of the dietary supplement sector specifically? And then more broadly, the natural product sector in terms of product quality, interesting or unusual findings or trend lines that you're seeing at Consumer Lab. I think we're all trying to really get a good sense of how we've evolved, where we've grown, where we have work to be done.
Sure.
I'd like to believe that, we're getting better year by year. We're working harder. But you have insights if you do. So I'd love to have your sense of things.
Well, definitely. Kind of as to what you started saying about how consumers need information about quality products, that has been Consumer Lab's mission since we came out with our first product review in November of 1999. I've been with the company since the very beginning. So yes, I have seen the many changes that have happened within various categories. An example would be, I think heavy metals has gotten a bit better, although it really depends with the popularity or the importance, I should say, of organic. Honestly, more organic products tend to show up having certain heavy metals, lead particularly, than non-organic products. So, there was a bit of a betterment in that aspect of quality, but then as more products became organic, we were seeing it. Another thing is that testing methodology over the past 20 some odd years has gotten better. So more companies are embracing the newer specific ways for testing various categories. So they're catching things at the manufacturing level. And not just at the, on our end, the Consumer Lab end of the issue. When the very first time we tested chondroitin, and that was back in 2000, the industry hadn't settled on one way to test the category. There was a group that was working on a specific methodology. Our head of research at the time was actually part of that very initial group. We tested ingredients using 3 different methods. And like over 50% of the products failed. I was trying to remember, it goes back 20 years. So, but now that's not the issue. The industry has embraced the specific methodology for testing contortin, and they're using it again at time of manufacture, and that's what we're using to test products. And it's, you know, been a huge improvement. Another issue is like when we first tested nutrition bars, protein bars, quite a number of products failed because they weren't including the glycerin that is used in the product, but it adds the calories or the sugar, excuse me. So, but as per FDA, you know, it needed to be counted. So the next time when we tested that category, we saw a huge difference in the number of products that passed. And so we'd like to hope that we had a little something to do with that. But so that was a category that definitely improved. You know, when there are new ingredients that become the newest hot thing, there isn't any science-based information as to what makes that ingredient active. So we can't test one of these new, you know, exotic fruits as to what makes a quality product, but we can test it for heavy metals. And again, some of the newer ones do tend initially we see to have issues even with just heavy metals. But you know, I'd like to think that the industry has been on an upswing as far as quality is concerned. There are a lot of players that have been involved with that. Again, going back to methods, going back to weeding out some of the bad apples. But like any industry, unfortunately, you know, there are those going to be there that just want to make a quick buck and aren't really caring about the product that a consumer is buying. And that's where Consumer Lab comes in, because we're there to show you of the products that we tested, which ones passed, which ones didn't. And then we actually view ourselves as an information company. So part of the benefits of subscribing to Consumer Lab is that you get a ton of information besides our unique test results. And that's really important, especially when, you know, there are plenty of families out there that they're making a purchase of supplements, but they don't have a ton of disposable income. So, you know, it's important that they're getting quality in their product.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. I find it very useful. I think many people originally thought of Consumer Lab as a test and report company, but if you look at the magazine and you read the reports, that it's very much an information company, as you say. I think that's a really central issue of trying to make sense of what the reports, the testing says, and then putting context around that. And like you, I've been in this industry a really long time. And one thing I've learned is that the debate over how to test products will never end. And there's a lot of ways to test, and it's a very important subject to continue to discuss, and so we can understand how do we get to the state of the art, and especially as you say, new ingredients. Where do you go, and how do we know? And it takes time to figure these things out.
It does.
So that's, you have 25
and
years of experience doing this, so you have quite a few of these. I'm sure you get your share of pretty unhappy phone calls and emails saying, "Wait a minute, what happened here?"
Yes, we do. But you know, the industry has come to understand the work we do and the thoroughness in which we do it. In order for a product not to pass, it has to do so at a minimum for a given criteria. It has to do so at a minimum of 2 different labs. We purchase the products are not sent to us by manufacturers. So, you know, we select a certain number on our own dime. We do have a certification program, so manufacturers do pay to have their product tested. But once they tell us which product that they want tested, that's it. It's hands off from them. We have, again, someone anonymously tested. All the products are sent to our research office where we catalog everything that's on the label because we're acting like a consumer. So we look to the label, we might look to the website to get a little more information. We're not contacting the company because most consumers aren't doing that either. Products are sent to the labs blinded, and we do not release the name of the labs that we're using to manufacturers, whether they come in through our certification program or not. Also, our research team goes through the test results with a fine-tooth comb. And we're not just taking those lab results at face value. There's been a lot of reports about dry testing. Obviously, we're using top labs. If we're not doing the testing ourselves, we do some disintegration testing in-house. We're using top labs across North America. And we're constantly testing them. And then, like I said, my research department is going through them with a fine-tooth comb. So they may notice that a spike doesn't look right. So they'll have a lab go back and redo the test, and turns out the equipment wasn't calibrated correctly. Or, we're all humans, as mistakes happen. We've actually gotten in results where it happened to be a calcium product, but the amount of calcium found was more than the total weight of the product. It was just a simple math error. It happened that one time, but the point is, like, errors can happen. So we are very, very thorough before we release what we call our product reviews. One of the beauties too about being only online is that as more products come in through testing, like as I mentioned, we're going to be testing some more flaxseed, we just add that. And then we notify people through our newsletter that there's some more flaxseed products up. That really makes a difference with Consumer Lab in, again, that we act like, as much as we can, like a double-blind placebo, well, without the placebo clinical test, in that, there's no communication between the lab and manufacturers. We're acting as a neutral third party and just, processing everything. Things stay blinded on our end too until all the test results are done. So, we want to do right by not just consumers, but also the manufacturers. I mean, again, goes back to most companies are trying to make a quality product. There are very few manufacturers out there that are just looking to rip off consumers. Right. So we want to give the products the best chance for them to show that they're quality. Unfortunately, sometimes things happen and lead levels are high, or a product doesn't have as much calcium as it said it did. And those are the reasons why products don't pass.
Yeah, it's always going to be a sensitive subject, but such a critical one for all of us. It's consumers want to know, industry wants to get better. So I appreciate the work that you've done over the years, and I'd love to have you tell us about your annual consumer survey, which is something I think many people may not know that you've been doing for quite a long time, and I've very pleased to see that a number of our UNPA members are there: doTERRA, Nature Made, Natural Factors, Thorne Research. So it certainly warms my heart to see that a number of our companies are among the most preferred brands by your consumers. So tell us a bit more about. Of
course. So Consumer Lab was started by Dr. Todd Cooperman. And before starting Consumer Lab, he had run a very successful survey company that went into various DMAs and they went to major manufacturers, companies, and not manufacturers, companies, and asked the employees about their healthcare. What did they think about their healthcare? About if they were taking certain medicines, were they getting good information? And so he had a pie of information that pharmaceutical companies just love to get. And then he could say, like in the Salt Lake City area, that US healthcare was rated the top healthcare for that particular year. So with his experience in doing that, once our newsletter really started picking up in numbers, we decided, well, let's ask consumers what they think about the supplements they're taking. I mean, this is our, area of expertise now. What do consumers think? So we started with a couple in the early 2000s. The survey became annual in 2007. So we've got a great kind of history of seeing trends and what consumers think of not only their brands they're taking, but we eventually started asking what kind of products. We asked them then for specific categories of products, what do they think with the brand they're using? We added merchants in, and we've asked some different questions over the years. Every year we get a minimum of like 8,000 respondents to the survey. So it's definitely more than statistically significant. And these are people who are interested in taking supplements. So we break things down into what I refer to as the old, at this point, feel so old myself, classic distribution channels. I mean, everyone's omni-channel now, but in order to do this, we stick to the old classic. So from the survey, we know that, as you said, 1 year doTERRA received the top rated direct sales category, top rating for direct sales. Thorne received a top rating for healthcare practitioner line. Nature Made received top rating for what do we call broad spectrum line for the mass market. So, and then there are also, as I mentioned, specific categories. So I don't know if these are all your members, but Life Extension received the top rated multivitamin. Garden of Life received the top rated probiotic. Carlson Lab, the top rated omega-3. And so, and then as far as merchants go, not surprisingly, Amazon received top rated, general online. Vitacost received top rated for supplement specific website. And, it goes on and on. And, we've seen trends. You had asked about that as far as when we would talk previously about when certain categories were coming up. So for example, back in, 2010, give or take, vitamin D had less than 50% of consumers saying they were using vitamin D. Now, for the past few years, it's been the top supplement with over 70 some odd percent. So, we saw the increase as the years have gone on. We saw multivitamins take a bit of a slip, although it's usually in the top 5. We saw the increase of omega-3s, the increase of probiotics. Obviously, during the pandemic, we definitely then saw how products categories such as elderberry, vitamin C, anything dealing with immune really shot up. But that was also very reflective in the sales of those products too. But, we saw that.
Well, certainly a treasure trove of information. I would encourage industry to go and really look at those surveys if they haven't. And certainly I would say, let people know that they rated so well.
I mean, one of the things that over the years Consumer Lab has been given kudos for is how transparent we are. Besides the fact that you don't have to be a subscriber, but if anyone in the industry or someone who's just an average consumer is curious, you can access what we refer to as our How Products Are Evaluated index page, which gives you a listing of every review we've done to date. So all the different categories of ingredients and products. And then with a link to what we call our How Products Were Evaluated page. And that will specify the testing methodology and the passing criteria. Also, how we're unique is with the survey. Normally, if you take a survey, you never find out the results. But we issue 2 press releases. They always come out around February 25th. And one press release, which is how you knew about some of your members receiving top rating, will list the top rated categories, brands, et cetera, for that given year. It'll also state, for merchants. And then a second press release talks kind of highlights as to, what we saw as far as the popularity of different ingredient categories. We have a brochure also on our survey page, which for the current year of the survey will show you which brands and merchants are included, what different categories we asked about. And then there's even kind of an outline, which is kind of the TOC of the report. So you can see exactly the information that's included. So again, we want to give consumers as much information as we can. The full report, though, is usually over 150 pages. It's packed with tables and charts. It really is geared for those in the industry, and it is thousands of dollars. So it's not, aimed for the average consumer, but like I just mentioned with those 2 press releases, there's a lot of information they can get from it.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to have you come back after February 25 and just some highlights of what you found and
Sure.
Yeah, what the good news is for some brands. And
yeah, unfortunately, I can't, give any spoilers here.
No, I'm not gonna but
even for you, Lauren, can't do it even for you.
Well, thank you. Well, Lisa, it's been such a pleasure to have you on and provide such an interesting background. I hope this really helps both consumers and members of our industry have a fresh perspective on the many aspects of what Consumer Lab does and the information it provides, and especially this consumer survey and the value that has, again, both for consumers and the richness of data that it provides for industry. So you can count on me calling you after probably on February 26th to see if we can't get you back on and give us a couple of highlights. That would be great. Well, Lisa, thank you so much again. This is Lisa Sabin, Vice President of Business Development for ConsumerLab.com. Thank you again.
Thank you, Lauren.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.